Hello there. Thanks for joining me again today. Dr. Teach Me to Parent. Today we have a great program for you. We're going to look at the general theme today of helping children improve their behavior patterns. We as parents play a significant role in how children behave, and we are the key factors of how children improve their behavior pattern over time. And children have a wide variety of behavior patterns and potential, and it's up to us as parents to guide that potential and to develop that potential and to monitor that potential on a regular basis and then take actions to improve it when necessary. So that's our general theme today. We're going to look at ways in which you as a parent can improve the behavior patterns of your children. But before we do that, I just want to remind you that this is the topic of the day. We're taking it from my book, Dr. Teach Me to Parent. And I certainly welcome you to pick up this copy of the book for yourself, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, my website that is shown on the TV screen there, in various places. So you can certainly pick up that book, and I would recommend it. It's a great book as a guide for you as a parent in making sure you have positive parenting and intentional parenting with your children. Now today, let me put this in perspective. I do this each week, and I give you a little piece of poetry. And today I'd like to show you a little piece of poetry. This little picture with poetry on it hangs on our wall at home. And it's a good reminder. It's a good way to just kind of keep focus on what we are as a family and what happens in a family and the strength of a family and how to deal with issues that come up within a family. So it's a great little piece of poetry, and let me just read it for you. I'll emphasize a couple points in it, okay? Our family is a circle of strength and love. With every birth and every union, the circle grows. Every joy shared adds more love. Every crisis faced together makes the circle stronger. And that's the last part I wanted just to come focus on. Every crisis faced together makes the circle stronger. And that's what family life is. Of course we go through crises. We've been through our crises in our family. And other people go through crises. Your neighbors go through crises. Your friends go through crises. We all have crises in our family of various kinds. But we come out of those crises stronger because we face the crisis together as a family. A crisis can never be faced alone. A crisis can never be faced in isolation. You can't withdraw and isolate when you're going through a crisis. It's a time to embrace your family, your extended family, your friendships, and people that can be of support and of help to you. So that's the nature of that particular piece of poetry. It's important that we grow stronger as a family through all the various events, births and unions and celebrations of various kinds, and particularly crises that come into our life as a family. Now, what I'd like to do is just kind of focus on one little aspect here in our first segment about how do you improve the behavior patterns of your children. There's a little formula that you can follow, and I think it's an important formula that you get a hold of and know how to do it and how to deal with it and apply it to your children in the home whenever you have a need for improvement. And that's basically all the time, actually. But here's the formula. First of all, you select a problem behavior. Now, kids have all kinds of behavior patterns. Some are very good. Some are excellent. Some are moderate. Some are very negative and not very pleasant at all. But you can't select all the various problems that a child has and work on them. You just can't do that. You select a behavior pattern, particularly for a younger child. For an older child, you might select 2 problem behaviors and identify them and sit down with the child and explain that the behavior pattern that we're going to focus on is inappropriate, it's not good for them in the long term, and it's something that needs to be changed, and that they need to work with you to alter that kind of behavior pattern because it's not in their best interest and it's certainly not in the best interest of the family. So when you select the problem behavior, you help the child know that you're doing this and why you're doing it and what the problem behavior is so that you get a cooperation, you work together. Okay, that's point number 1. Point number 2 is you focus on the selected behavior pattern, but you focus on the alternative, positive behavior. So if a child is bedwetting and you want to change that, you don't focus on wet nights, you focus on dry nights. You see, because that's the appropriate alternative behavior that you want to instill and you want to develop. If your child yells and screams in the house and that's not appropriate, you don't focus on that. You focus on talking and a moderate voice. And that's the alternative positive behavior that you want to, focus on. If it's homework behavior, you don't focus on the absence of homework or not doing homework. You focus on the child doing homework and working on it together, maybe you as a family or you as a parent working with the child or the child working alone, but you focus on the actual act of homework behavior because that's the appropriate behavior. So you select a problem behavior, but you really focus on the alternative positive behavior that you want the child to develop. See, what's important is if you punish a child for doing something inappropriate, all you're telling the child is, don't do that. But you never tell the child what to do. That's what praise and approval and instruction is all about. You tell the child what not to do, but you also have to then put into your formula and into your discussion with your child what it is that you want them to do. And that's the appropriate alternative behavior that you want to develop within your child's behavior patterns. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3 is that you want to achieve a change of behavior that's stable before you move on and select another problem to work on. In other words, don't just do something for a couple days and then go to another problem and then a couple days later go to another problem. You don't do that because nothing will ever be accomplished and you'll feel defeated and you'll feel discouraged and you'll feel that you're ineffective as a parent or you feel like your child is impossible. No, you don't. You stay with the behavior pattern that you're working on and you get it to be a stable change. And that may take weeks, that may take months, but you stay with that until it is stable and it's been ingrained within that child's behavioral patterns. So then you're in a place to celebrate the change, celebrate the improvement, celebrate the fact that we've had this good positive change in their behavior. You're thankful for it, and then keep on reinforcing it, keep on rewarding it, keep on, for the next year, keep commenting, keep praising the child for the improved behavior, for the alternative improved behavior that you're working on. Because that's what you want to do. You want to focus on the behavior, change the behavior, focus on the appropriate behavior, make sure that it's stable, reinforce it, reward it on an ongoing basis, and then you're in a position to move on to another problem. You're in a position in an older child to move on with 2 other problems. But you can't move on to another problem until the first problem that you've identified has been changed and is stable. And that's one of the mistakes that we make as parenting, is that we move along too rapidly. We go from one behavior to another, to another, to another, without ever getting change. We just kind of complain or we just talk about it. But you can't do that. You have to be able to say, this is the behavior pattern that we want, and we're going to work on it together, and we're going to celebrate it when it does occur. We're going to reward it when it occurs. We're going to be happy for when it occurs. We're going to reinforce it in a variety of ways when it occurs, by giving treats and by giving special privileges and by commendation and by praise and recognition and all kinds of celebration and talking about the improved behavior, the better behavior patterns that you are now seeing in your child. So that's the kind of the formula that is good to help your child develop an improved behavior pattern. It's just a very simple formula, very simple process, but you got to stick with it. And the mistake that parents make is that they quit too soon. They jump to a new program or to a new problem too soon. Or they think that way is not going to work, so they try a different way. And they do it too soon. And we don't get the change that is necessary within the child's general behavior patterns in the home, at school, in the neighborhood, and wherever that child plays and does his thing. So make sure you are effective as a parent. And here's a little formula, for you to follow. Remember, if you go through a crisis, you can come out of it stronger. If you have a problem in your home, you can address it, change it, alter it, and come out of it stronger as a family and as an individual, and certainly as a parent. So there we are in our first segment. Nice that you are joining us today. Get your coffee. We're going to take just a short break, and we're going to come back with another segment of how you can help your child change behavior and improve their behavior patterns. We'll come back and show you another way to do it. Okay, come on back.
Green Gables Care Home is a 24-hour assisted living facility for the elderly, located in Clovis, California, offering spacious private and semi-private rooms which are wheelchair-approved, catering to the special person in your life who needs attention and wants to live in a loving home environment. The Green Gables Care Home has assisted living in secured homes for elderly persons with Alzheimer's, memory loss, and for your loved ones needing assistance with their activities of daily living. Call 559-307-0950 and visit GreenGablesCareHome.com.
Sometimes good intentions hurt rather than help. For just $1.76 per meal, the Fresno Rescue Mission offers more than food. We offer hope. Please donate today.
When you need a dentist who has a passion for superior aesthetics and comfort, you need Dr. Christopher Wong with Cedar North Dental. Call 559-432-4948 or visit cedarnorthdental.com.
Do you need a locksmith? Layman's Lock and Safe Service and Repair is available for you. 559-228-1805.
Choosing a Medicare plan can be difficult and frustrating. Susan Hatch can guide you through the Medicare maze and help find the right plan for you. Susan helps people understand the confusing and drastic changes that occur every year in Medicare. Susan will only recommend plans that will protect your assets and allow you to continue to see your personal doctor. As a 100% independent agent, Susan is not controlled by any particular insurance company to steer a person onto any one particular plan. Susan was awarded the #1 Medicare supplement agent in California. Look for Susan's Medicare question and answers every Monday in the Fresno Bee. Call Susan at 559-307-2287 and visit MedicareToday.net.
Gained a lot, learned a lot, and got a lot of love. If it weren't for the knowledge that I had gained from the classes at PCC, I probably wouldn't be the mom I am today. See, there it goes.
I would love you to meet my son, Aaron. My situation was very difficult. I didn't know how my life was going to turn out.
We graduated in June 2010 and we got married in July. And through family, the Pregnancy Care Center changed our lives.
The Pregnancy Care Center was a huge, vital part in helping me walk through that pregnancy, in educating me and loving on me during that time.
Fresno Rescue Mission's Rescue the Children program is a protected, secure environment providing emergency and long-term services to women at risk, abused, homeless, previously incarcerated, and women with children. The community provides women and their children a place to get away from destructive lifestyles, offering a place to heal, learn, and grow. Give to the Fresno Rescue Mission today.
Satellite television transforming the Middle East through hope in Jesus Christ. Sat7USA.org.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Okay, welcome back on our next segment of Dr. Teach Me to Parent. We've been talking about this general theme today about how you can improve the behavior patterns of your children, what you can do, some of the strategies you can employ as a parent to improve the behavior patterns of children. Now remember, children behave positively. They have many good, positive behaviors. You want to commend them, reward them, praise them, talk about them, celebrate them. They have behavior patterns that are just reasonable, just kind of normal. Those need comment too. Those need commendation. And then there are behavior patterns that need to be changed. And those need the confrontation. Those need the sit-down talk and say, this behavior pattern is inappropriate. And we need now to work together to bring about change and to show ways in which we can change that behavior pattern together, you as a parent and the child. So to improve behavior patterns, you need the cooperation of the child, and you need to work together, and you need to have a strategy that will work, and that's been proven to work. Now, we just talked about a little formula that you can go through in terms of how you can help a child change their behavior pattern as a parent. Now, what I'd like to do is to take a second segment and say this. When families sit down together in a conference, sometimes they're referred to as a conference call, sometimes referred to as family meetings, sometimes they're referred to as family sessions. You know, refer to them as whatever you want. But when the entire family sits down, maybe once a week, maybe once every other week, and you talk about what's going on in their life as children, what's going on in your life as parents, and what's going on in your life as a family. And you discuss that. And together, you work together, and you commit together, and you bond together, and you enjoy your lives together, and you enjoy activities together because you've planned them and you worked out them together. So a second way to help a child develop positive behavior patterns is to work together as a family and make sure that there's a family time when you can sit together, confront a behavior pattern, talk about it, and then change or make plans, for the future, as a family. Now, what I'd like to do is to say this about family meetings. It's a time when you as a family can learn to communicate. It's a time when children and parents can talk to each other. It's a time when you can learn decision-making skills because you have to discuss. You have options, you have discussions that take place. It's what you're going to do or not going to do. So you make decision-making skills. You show when something's better than something else, or there's a better alternative and so on. So you engage in this discussion for problem-solving and decision-making. Problem-solving, decision-making kind of go together, but that's what you do as a family. When you meet together as a family and you meet together to make sure that you are able to coordinate and to be a unit rather than as 3 or 4 or 5 separate people. So family meetings develop all kinds of skills, but the skills of communication are extremely important, and that's what you want your children to learn. And this is where you teach it. And when you come together in a conference as a family meeting and a little time that you can talk about, usually it's done after dinner at a table. Usually when you meet together, you eat together and then you meet together. Or it is done on a weekend, maybe on a Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, or it's done before bedtime, maybe Thursday nights is before bedtime, whatever. But it's a special time that you call to the family together, and you do it routinely, every week, every other week, and you stick with it in a routine kind of way. It's very important that you build a routine in this area of your life as family. Now, when you get together as a family, there are certain kind of, I'll use the word, an agenda that might be helpful, for you to follow and to make sure that the family is coordinated and does this in a very coordinated kind of way. So let me just give you kind of an agenda that might be helpful to you as a family. First of all, here's the question you ask. Has there been any problem at school this week that needs to be discussed? Kids have problems in school. They have a problem with peers. They have a problem with teachers. They have a problem with certain subject matter. They have certain expectations that are not fulfilled. Maybe other problems are other kids are giving them problems. Maybe there's a bully behavior taking place at school. Here's the time to find out what your child is experiencing in school with the teacher and with his peers. If it's good, celebrate it. If it's good, praise it, commend it, and move on. But if there's a problem that needs to be addressed, here's the time to do it. Work out a problem, work out a suggested way of handling it, and then move on to the next issue on your agenda. But children need opportunity to tell you what's going on at school, both good and the not so good, okay? Here's the second agenda item. Has there been any problem in our home, in our family life, that needs to be discussed? You see, in the course of a week or two, families fail, families have difficulties, families have times when they just don't function very well. Okay, here's the time to talk about it. A time maybe to apologize, maybe the time to explain, maybe time to clarify what happened and why certain things were done. It's a time for children to ask what happened, or to be able to tell what they want or what they would rather have happened, or how they wanted to be handled or talked to or treated at a certain time during the family discussions and family interaction patterns. So it's a time to say what's going on at home, not just what's going on at school, but what's going on at home that needs to be discussed and perhaps need to be changed and altered. It's a very important topic for kids to become involved in. And then the third one is, are there any activities during the course of the week that the family members must know about and participate in? You see, we as parents look ahead. Kids don't look ahead. We as parents know what's coming down the pike. We know what's coming down next week or the week after that, and we make our plans accordingly. But sometimes we don't tell children, or we don't let children know what's coming down the pike. So they don't know. They're caught off guard. And oftentimes they find out at a time when they really would rather do something else. And it's our fault because we haven't prepared them. We haven't told them ahead of time what is coming down the pike, what the expectations are. Now, I suggest 3 ways of prioritizing activities in a family. You know, sometimes you get events that you have to go to. It may be a wedding, it might be a funeral, it might be a school event, it might be a sporting event, it might be a special activity. There are all kinds of things in this family life we do. But there are 3 kind of levels of priority that I refer to and I recommend for families. When you talk about this topic, there are priority A activities. Priority activities. Priority activities means you got to go. There's just no choice. Everybody goes. Everybody is on board. Everybody is ready to go at that time to that particular event. That's a event activity A. It's a priority A. You all go. There's no choice. There's no option. This is something you have to do. Now, there are alternative B. Options B. B are the activities that you can go to if you'd like, but you don't have to go. It would be best if you went. It would be preferred if you went. It would be a better decision to go together. But if you can't, if you have something else that conflicts with it, you're doing something else, go for it. That's okay. And then there are priority C events and activities, and those are the ones that doesn't really matter. If you go, fine. If you don't go, that's all right too. It's totally a choice kind of thing. And kids can learn to live with priorities A, B, and C, because not everything is an A, and not everything is a C priority. So you want to give the kids that kind of knowledge and a skill of thinking through their life options. And they're going to do this throughout their entire life, making these kind of decisions of what's important and what's less important, and then how you handle those kinds of things. And then fourthly, are there any activities? Here's what you need to discuss as a family. Are there any activities that a family member would like to do in the coming week or coming month? You know, there may be things that kids would like to do. There are things that you as parents would like to do. There are games that you'd like to attend. There are special events you'd like to go to. There may be some recreational event you want to go to. Maybe a concert you want to go to. This is the time to put it on the table. This is the time to plan ahead. This is the time to say, I would like to go to this event. It's coming up, and you can talk about it as a family. Maybe others would like to go. Maybe you'd like to all go as a family. But whatever it is, are there any activities, are there any events that, as a family, you would like to do, or any one member of the family would like to do in the week ahead, or the 2 weeks ahead, or the month ahead? So this is a time to make sure that you get future planning in place, and so that you can prepare for it and be ready when that time, comes. And then, are there any areas of praise? That's the next point. Are there any areas of praise? Children do good things. Parents do good things. Families do good things. It's time to recognize that. Praise it. Make commendations. make celebrations, just times of joy, because you've experienced some kind of success, or you've experienced some kind of positive event, or you've achieved something, or you've succeeded in something that needs to be celebrated. Kids need to be able to celebrate their positive events in front of the family. Maybe a grade, it might be an assignment, it might be a speech that they gave in class, it might be a project they worked on. You know, so many things that kids do, and we just kind of overlook it. But we need to stop and say, I'm proud of you for what you just did. I'm proud of you for that project. I'm proud of you for the way you handled that event. Celebrate good stuff that goes on within, family life. And then lastly, in number 6, are there any areas or any relationships in the family that need to be improved? In other words, how are we functioning as a family? How are we doing as a family? Do we need to improve ourselves? Do we need to do something to make us as a family function better? It's not just can we change the behavior pattern of one of the children. It's also how we can change the behavior patterns of us as a family, and how we relate to each other, how we interact with each other, and how we treat each other and behave towards each other. So are there any ways that as a family we need to alter our behavior patterns and do things differently? Kids have examples of that. Kids have recommendations for that. Kids have their feelings and their opinions. This is the time for kids to voice and for parents to listen. Remember, an effective parent listens to their children. And this is the place to listen to your children. This is the time to listen to your children. And it's a constructive time. It's a time when your children can be recognized and feel that they have worth and they have value, and that they have voice within the family and within their general community. So give them voice. Give them opportunity to be on top of things. And that's why we have the family call, or the conference call, or the family meeting, or whatever you want to call it. But do it weekly, do it every other week, but do it regularly. And make sure that you follow an agenda like I've just outlined. And then it takes 10 or 15 minutes. It doesn't take a lot of your time, but you'll get a lot of benefit out of that. This is a great big bang for a little buck, okay? So do it, and make sure that you become part of a change system within your family. Anyway, thanks for joining me now for segment 2. We're going to go on to segment 3. We're going to look at another way in which you can change the behavior patterns of your children, improve the behavior patterns of your children. So we're going to take a look at just another strategy that is often employed. And come on back in just a couple minutes. Take a look at our sponsors, and if you'd like to be a sponsor of the program, let us know. We'd be glad to add you to our sponsor list, okay? See you in a little bit.
This program is brought to you in part by Avante Health. Sound mental health is an important foundation to productive living. Happy employees are productive employees. Employers have the option to carve out the mental health component of their general medical plan to Avante, a fully insured specialty health plan focusing on mental health, substance abuse, and employee assistance programs. Avante offers full service benefit management, from eligibility determinations to in-house claims processing. Avante can handle all aspects of your benefit benefit management needs. Avante Health provides EAP mental health services to the employees and families of local and national companies, businesses, and governmental agencies. For more information, call Avante Health 800-498-9055. 800-498-9055. Visit AvanteHealth.com. Dr. Alan Hedberg is proud to have Avante Health as a sponsor of this program.
Opportunity isn't always given a door to knock on, so we built one. The door to our kids' futures is often crowded by temptation and misdirection, making it difficult for them to reach their full potential. But once they enter that door, our club door, inside is a place of hope and opportunity. The second home for the nearly 4 million kids we serve every year after school and in the summer. Inside our doors, youth development professionals and mentors provide the guidance, support, and encouragement needed for every kid and teen in an enriching and safe environment, no matter their circumstances. Boys and Girls Club set the standard as the #1 advocate for youth during the out-of-school time. We assure success is within reach for all kids and teens in America, with club members on track to graduate from high school with a plan for the future, demonstrating good character, and living a healthy lifestyle. We're leading America's youth, fostering success well beyond the basketball court through hundreds of programs, from robotics to the culinary arts, providing unlimited opportunities for those seeking. This hope and opportunity builds character, creates leaders, and helps all kids define their future, ensuring young people find their passions, reach for their dreams, and achieve their full potential. Much can be found inside our 4,000 doors nationwide and on military installations around the world. Boys and Girls Clubs is the opportunity for all kids, and our doors are open. Great futures start here.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
All right, thanks for coming back and joining me for the third segment here. We've been focusing on this general question about how do you improve the behavior patterns of your children? And what are the strategies that you can employ as a parent? And what are some of the ways that you can work together with the child or with your children to be an effective parent and alter the behavior patterns for the good of your children? Obviously, they behave well much of the time. Probably 80% of the behavior patterns are good, maybe 90%. But then there's always that behavior pattern over here, or several of them, that you need to confront and need to deal with and need to alter and change. And that's what we're talking about today. How do you take those behavior patterns and improve them so they can move over into the good behavior patterns of your children? Now, we've been looking at a couple ways to do that. I gave you a simple formula to start with. Just kind of a very basic couple steps that you can follow in terms of doing this and doing that to make sure that your child is confronted with the inappropriate behavior, but is given opportunity now to work with you to develop the appropriate behavior patterns. And you focus on what you want to see developed, not on what you don't want. So you focus on the alternative acceptable behavior pattern. And you reinforce it, you reward it, and you stick with it until it's stable. Okay, that was the first thing. But then we talked a little bit about the whole idea of coming together as a family and meeting in a conference. Just regularly, every week, every other week, just talking together as a family, making plans together, discussing problems together, making future plans together, making sure that as a family we're strong and we're able to handle things. And we have a problem at home, we need to face it and deal with it. We have a problem at school, we need to discuss it and figure out how to handle it, and so on. So a family conference is extremely important. Now, let's take a look at the third strategy that you can use to help your child improve their behavior pattern, and that is the issue of family rules. You know, in our society, we have rules. We have laws. We have policies. We have programs. We have things that we do to make sure our family, our individuals, our society, our community functions in a systematic way for the benefit of all. So we have rules, and we follow those rules. And we follow those rules, things go well. It's when we don't follow the rules that things go chaotic and are bizarre and are violent and are disruptive and so on. It's the absence of rule, or the absence of recognizing a rule, or the absence of following rules that gets us into trouble. And within the context of family life, rules are very important because it's the way a home functions. A home can function normally and smoothly and cooperatively, but it can also be very dysfunctional and chaotic. We don't want that. That's what you don't want. But what you do want is a home and a family life that functions on some kind of a systematic basis, following the rules that you have set up as a family. Rules don't come from outside. Rules don't come from me. Rules don't come from somebody else or some book. Rules come from you as a family. And what we're doing here now is showing you as a family how you can develop those rules. You sit down as a family and you talk. You know, what are some of the things that we need to make sure that we all do? What are some of the things that we all want to commit to so that we function well together? And, a few examples of that is, homework must be done before dinner or before supper. Okay, that's a rule, but it makes the home go smoothly. When the homework is done before, or even if you would do it, the homework is done after dinner, that's okay, but whatever the rule is, you follow it. Or it might be that, for children who get up, they go to bed, they get up, they go to bed, they get up, they go to, some kids just will do that 4, 5, 6 times a night. And you as a parent, that's chaotic. You don't do that. So the rule is you get up once. You can get up once, but that's all. And that's the rule. And you accept that and you follow that. Or it might be that you have a rule with kids that are bickering and they fight and they compete with each other and they're unkindly towards each other. The rule might be you don't fight, you don't bicker, but you talk kindly, you talk friendly, you talk gently to each other in a lower voice. That's a rule. So you set that up, and you set maybe 10 of those rules. But they come from the children, and they come from you as a parent. You work together and develop whatever rules it is that you want to develop in your home. It's your home. It's your rules. It's our community. The community sets the rules. It's our state. The state sets the rules. It's our country. Our country sets the rules. But in your home, you set them. But take leadership and take advantage of that idea and make sure that you and your own family set the rules for yourself and for the children. What's good for the children is good for you as a parent. So all function together, in the same kind of way. Okay, that's very important. Now, you also have to then focus on the behavior patterns that you want the child to develop, what you want them to do, what you want them to engage in. You don't focus on behavior problems that you don't want, because that's just kind of negative. And now you'll be complaining and you'll be sarcastic and you'll be critical all the time. Punitive, if you will. But no, you have to recognize that for every negative behavior, there's a positive alternative. And what is that? And that's what you focus on in your rule building. You focus on the expectations that children are going to behave in the appropriate way, not the inappropriate way. So you have to make sure that your rules are on the positive, put the child in the positive direction. But then also remember that children have different ages. And sometimes a rule for one child is not applied to another child just because of age difference, or boys are different from girls. So you might have to have rules for child A and child B and child C. And if that's the case, fine, just have different rules. And the rules that have to be enforced are the ones that apply to that particular child. If your children are all about the same age and they're all functioning in about the same way, yeah, you might have one set of family rules. That may be adequate. But you have to decide as to whether you need a special rule for one of your children or two of your children just because of certain circumstances and special circumstances that prevail, for that particular child. Don't make too many of them. Keep them simple. Keep them straightforward, but you need to enforce them. You need to follow them. And what's good for the child is good for you as a parent. If the rule is for the child, the rule is for you as a parent as well. You can't get around that idea, okay? And then lastly, you got to put some teeth in them. You got to put teeth in the rules. In other words, if you violate the rule, there are certain consequences. If you adhere to the rules, there are certain consequences. Those are positive. Those are joyous. Those are consequences that are celebrated. You're praised, you're approved, you're given special privilege, you're given an opportunity to do things that you wanted to do, perhaps. Where if you don't do the behavior patterns, you don't follow the rules, you violate the rules, then the consequences may be quite negative. Maybe bed early, or maybe you don't have use of your cell phone for a day or two or three. There are certain consequences that follow when rules are broken. That's what happens in our society. We call them fines. We call them charges against certain people and whatever. But in the home, there are consequences that need to prevail for when a child does not behave in accordance to the rules that have been set up. But there are also those positive consequences that follow when a child has followed the consequences, the rules that have been set forth as a family. So if the rules prevail and you as a parent levy out the consequences accordingly to make sure that the child experiences a positive result when good behavior takes place, and that a punishment takes place when the rules are broken. You as a parent have to be consistent. You as a parent have to be on top of things. You as a parent need to be in charge of this thing. You as a parent need to be organizing this thing and making sure that it works for everybody, and it works the same and it's fair, for everybody. So I recommend up to 10 rules. Young children, you might only have 2, 3, or 4, 5. Older they are, you can have more. But as a whole family, maybe you want to have up to 10. That's enough rules. You can't cover everything within 10 rules. There's something wrong. So make sure that you cover your rules in a written format, and that they're in front of the child, and you review them periodically, and you post them on the refrigerator so that they're for everybody to see and be reminded of. And when they're violated, you come back and refresh and rethink them and discuss them. Yes, maybe in the future a rule needs to be altered and changed, modified. Maybe you were inappropriate in setting forth a particular rule or the way that you stated it. So you may want to alter it and change it. You can do that. You have the freedom to do that. But you do that as a family. Okay? So thanks for being with me now in this segment as we look at ways to improve the behavior patterns of our children. And now we've just looked at rules, and we looked at the issue of family conference time, and we've looked at a formula, to deal with and working with our children to make sure that we can help them behave as best as possible so they enjoy life and they enjoy the benefits of good behavior. And now, last segment, take a little break. We're going to come back, and I'd like to just go with you a pledge for a parent pledge, that if you make a pledge, this will help your children behave well and improve their behavior patterns. So let's take a look at the parent pledge when we come back. See you in a bit.
Hey there, world! I'd like to introduce you to someone really special and really cool. This is my mom. My mom is an amazing person. She is a writer. She is a newly transplanted Texan. She is a woman of faith, and she loves 80s music. She also is a person with a very rare genetic muscular disorder called Pompe disease.
Pompe disease is a terminal, progressive illness. It's a genetic enzyme deficiency which ultimately leads to the destruction of your skeletal muscles. Those are the muscles that control how you move, your arms, your legs, and your torso. When your jaw or esophageal muscles are affected, you can no longer eat and require a feeding tube. When your diaphragm is impacted, you can't breathe on your own any longer and require a trach ventilator. When your legs are impacted, you will no longer be able to walk without assistance. You can lose bladder and bowel control. It affects children and adults, and eventually it kills you. It is rare, but it's real.
Now, we're lucky. My mom's still able to walk, though she uses a cane to get around most of the time. She's still able to breathe unassisted, but she can't go upstairs, and she needs some kind of assistance to get up from a seated position, like if she's sitting in a chair. She has to examine every activity ahead of time to know if there are things like handicap parking, accessible buildings, and even functional bathrooms. All of her activities depend heavily on the weather. A windy day can be just as dangerous as an icy one. She jokes that you can tell what kind of day she's having by whether she can lift her arms high enough to do her hair. And she recently moved into a one-story house specifically with the idea that she's one day going to need a wheelchair to get around. Those are the kind of things she has as everyday concerns. Her normal everyday fears are things like dropping her keys or falling in public and not being able to get up. That actually happened a couple of years ago. She fell and fractured her pelvis because she was unable to break her fall.
I receive an enzyme replacement therapy every 2 weeks for life. It's a 6-hour IV. It helps slow the progression of the disease, but it is not a cure. And it costs about $100,000 every time you sit in the chair. Insurance takes care of most of that if you're lucky, but not everyone is, and the expenses add up very quickly. Things like wheelchairs, accessible vehicles, special housing, travel costs to medical conferences, doctor's appointments, and clinical trials. Luckily, there is a group that helps families with Pompe handle these costs. The United Pompe Foundation is a group connecting funds with real people who need help. This was founded by a father whose son has Pompe disease, and they could not find the resources that they needed. They assist patients and their families with medical costs and other expenses that they need to survive day to day. Every little bit helps.
There are a lot of things in life that we really take for granted, and sometimes the scariest things in the world are the things that you can't see. So today we're asking for you to help us shed a little light on a rare and scary disease. Please share this video with your friends, your family, strangers, anybody that you come across. Education is a big thing. It makes a big difference. And another way to make a really huge difference in someone's life is to go check out the United Pompe Foundation. Their website is in this video description. Click on it, check it out, and go ahead and donate some money if you're able to. Again, this is an organization giving real help to real people who are amazing and need it, like my mom. I love her, and thank you so much for helping us out. Thank you so much.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
All right, thanks for coming back and joining us for our last segment today, now on Dr. Teach Me to Parent. We've been talking about ways in which you as a parent can improve the behavior patterns of your children. Very important task to undertake. They're dependent upon you as a parent. You're the primary teacher. You're the first teacher that your children have. And you want to be effective, you want to be productive in your teaching abilities and your teaching style. And making sure you're very intentional and very positive yourself. And then that would spread over on the children. And to help you do that, we've looked at a couple strategies that you can use to improve the behavior patterns of your children. In the last segment, is a very important one. We look at setting up rules in the home, because that helps kids behave properly. Having time as family discussion, very, very important. Having kind of a strategy, a definite system of being able to confront an inappropriate behavior, change it to a positive behavior, and reinforce it and develop it and stabilize it within your child's behavior patterns. Now, here's the last segment. And what I'd like to do is to kind of look at what I call the parent pledge. If you're going to help your children behave appropriately and improve their behavior patterns, you as a parent have to look at yourself as to how you behave and how you function as a parent in the home and outside the home for that matter. So I developed with a number of parents whose children have had difficulty. Some have been in drugs. Some have been in a variety of social inappropriate behavior patterns. This kind of idea of a parent pledge, and I've just kind of identified it, and I'm going to walk it through with you and help you see some of the ways in which you as a parent can pledge to be an appropriate, a positive, and effective parent, to your children. Okay, number one, communicate with your children. You got to communicate with them. That means you're listening as well as speaking. That means you're speaking their language and you're listening to their language, and you are attentive. You're eye to eye. You're face to face. You have an opportunity to just listen to the opinions and the ideas that are expressed by your children. This is the time to listen to your children. Remember what I said earlier. Effective parents listen to their children. And as you make a pledge that when your kids speak, you listen. And you're going to do whatever you can to draw your kids out so they will speak and share with you their feelings and their thoughts and their ideas. Okay, that's number one. And then number two is respond to your children who are going through a problem. Remember in the poetry I gave you in the early segment of the program today, sometimes you go through a crisis, you go through it together. But the important thing is that you respond. That means you do it intelligently, you do it rationally. You don't just react. React is emotional. React is yelling and screaming and being out of control as a parent. But when you respond to your children who are in trouble or respond to a time of difficulty in your children's life, then you'll do it more calmly. You'll do it more systematically. You'll do it more gently. And you, in a reasonable way, you will, together with your child, will work out a problem. You work out a solution. You work out a strategy. You work out a plan, for the future. So respond, don't react, okay? And then number three, you got to educate yourself. You got to educate yourself about drugs. You got to educate yourself about whatever your children are doing that's inappropriate and irresponsible and antisocial. If it's drugs, you got a responsibility to be educated about drugs. You read, you go to seminars, you talk to other parents, you talk to other people who know the topic, and you educate yourself so that you're on top of the topic. And then you can guide your child in terms of the dangers of drug use. There's no good comes out of drug use. It's only danger. So the point is you have to learn what those dangers are. And there's really no learning in terms of what's good. It's only what will be the inappropriate or the ineffective or the most dangerous part of drug use. So you got to understand that, and you have to educate yourself in regards to that, okay? And then next, you have to kind of monitor your child. You got to monitor your children's behavior patterns. You got to monitor the friends that they hang around with. You got to monitor where they go. Your kids are walking the mall. You need to be on that mall periodically and see what's there and what's going on. If your children have 4 or 5, 6 friends, or even one friend, you better know those friends. You better know that friend. You better understand what that friend and where they come together and what they do and what kind of value system the friends have. Are those value systems the same value system you have as a family? Do you share value systems? Or do they have an entirely different value system, entirely different moral system from what you as a family? And if that's the case, that may be a friendship that you need to stop and terminate. Because you can't let your kids have friendships that are contrary to the way that you're trying to raise your child in your own home. Because then you're working against each other. So you have to monitor your kids and what they're doing, who they're with, and what's involved in their day-to-day activity, and recognize the potential for danger. Recognize the potential for substance abuse. And then prevent that. Stop that so it doesn't take place. And then help your child build what we referred to earlier as self-esteem and social esteem. Remember, as a parent, you need to praise your child. Help the child get that sense that I'm a good person, I'm a capable person, I'm a competent person, I'm a valued person, I'm a respected person. I belong, I'm accepted, I'm acceptable, I'm loved. You need that message needs to prevail in your home and bombard your children with that kind of message. That develops self-esteem. But you also have to bombard your child with the other message, and that is they have to be aware of what other people think of them. And it's often inappropriate and untrue. Often people think much more highly of you than you may think they do. You have to kind of look at how do you think other people think of you? And sometimes you're wrong on that. Maybe people think well of you. Maybe people think well of your children. And you need to convey that to your children. You need to tell your children that you heard the teacher say, or you heard a friend say, or you heard somebody else say something good about your child. Pass that on so the child gets that sense that other people think well of them, not ill of them. Okay? So that's very important. Then you want to make sure that you confront any inappropriate behavior on the part of the child. You have to be prepared to confront it. You can't just ignore it. You can't deny it. You can't just go away. You have to be able to confront a behavior pattern that you see as inappropriate. Drug use of any kind, of any level, talking about it, thinking about it, drawing pictures, looking at magazines, looking at books, anything that can be a crisis or can lead to a crisis, you need to deal with it. You need to identify anything that is going to lead to a problem and deal with it as soon as you possibly can. Be rationally informed. Be alert. Be alive. Making sure that whatever you say and whatever changes you take place, it's in the best interest of your child. And then get counseling as a parent. Make sure you get counseling. There's a lot of counselors in your community, and a lot of them are able to help you address the issues that you're facing with your child or your children, whether it's drugs or whether it's homework behavior or whether it's peer behavior, bully behavior, whatever it might be. There are counselors that can help you think that through and develop some strategies and apply it in your home and guide you in the process of changing behavior patterns. They're in a better position to help you than maybe a friend. So seek professional help. It's the greatest thing you can do. And maybe 2 or 3 or 4 sessions is all you need just to get a refocus on the family and you're working, together. And then remember this, that you were a child once yourself. Remember what it was like when you were a child. We all gone through childhood. Now, obviously, kids today go through a whole series of events and influences and activities that are different than we did as a child. So you have to kind of remember, we had our problems, we had our crises, we had our influences, we had our social negativity that was going on in our life. We had it. So just remember, put it in perspective. You were there once too, and you know how your parents handled it. Do it better, okay? Do it better. Anyway, nice to have you with me today. This has been the report on Dr. Teach Me to Parent. And we've looked at some ways in which you as a parent can help your child improve their behavior patterns. Now let me just close with the tip of the day, as I always do, and just to give you a little bit of a perspective as you move forward into this week, okay? Every child is grateful for something. Help them express it, okay? Every child is grateful for something. And help the child identify what that is. Help the child be able to talk about it and share it. What are they grateful for? But help them express it so they know how to say thank you. They know how to praise somebody for the gratefulness that they have. So that's what's important. Now, lastly, I invite you to join me on my daily podcast, thepsychologyreport.buzzsprout.com. So it's on every day. It's on the internet. It's the psychologyreport.buzzsprout.com. Look it up and join me for the daily podcast, okay? If you want to be a sponsor of this program and my podcast, let us know. We'd be glad to add you to our list of sponsors. And this program today, along with all of them, is now transferred onto the YouTube. So you can always approach it there. And if you want to share it with somebody else, tell them to look at it on the YouTube, okay? And then lastly, I invite you to access my website, booksbyhedberg.com. Booksbyhedberg.com. Go to the website. Here's where you get the book, Dr. Teach Me to Parent. Okay? There's a lot of other books there that I've written as well. Pick them up, read them. This is good reading. Give them as gifts. We got Christmas coming up. We have other times coming up for gift giving. Pick up a book, share it with them, and be a source of change and a source of influence and positivity in the life of all your friends and the people you know. Okay? Thanks for joining me today, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Green Gables Care Home is a 24-hour assisted living facility for the elderly, located in Clovis, California, offering spacious private and semi-private rooms which are wheelchair-approved, catering to the special person in your life who needs attention and wants to live in a loving home environment. The Green Gables Care Home has assisted living and secured homes for elderly persons with Alzheimer's, memory loss, and for your loved ones needing assistance with their activities of daily living. Call 559-307-0950 and visit GreenGablesCareHome.com.
Sometimes good intentions hurt rather than help. For just $1.76 per meal, the Fresno Rescue Mission offers more than food. We offer hope. Please donate today.
CentralValleyTalk.com.